Samantha McGowan, Ashley Coonahan, Victoria Metz, Katie Bourne, Victoria Monstrola.
There once lived a pure knight of King Arthur named Percival. After years of serving the king, he turned to a holy life by becoming a monk. He did this by traveling far away from Camelot to a convent. Unfortunately, shortly after he arrived there, he died. When he was near his death, and on a windy April morning, Sir Percival went to speak with a fellow monk and a very close friend named Ambrosius. Underneath an ancient swaying tree, Ambrosius began questioning Percival.
I understood that some of the members of the Round Table are not as pure as you, Percival. In nature, there are always going to be people who are good and bad, which makes it very deceiving to find out who is good and who is bad. Although your fellow knights work for Arthur, that does not make them pure. What made you want to leave the Round Table, Percival?
I did not do it for passion or for my own desire, for I had a vision of the Holy Grail. I was extremely tired of the other knights getting credit for their physical abilities to overthrow other knights when I knew it could have been used for a better cause.
I do not agree with your decision, Percival. I feel that your dedication to King Arthur is much more important than your own thoughts and desires. I know a fellow knight of yours who was destroyed by the Grail. The fact that you would put your faith in this silly ghost cup is ridiculous.
I'm being serious. Why do you think the Grail is a ghost? It was blessed by the Lord at the Last Supper. A guy named Aramitha Joseph blessed the Holy Grail in a place called Aramat. Back then, if you touched the Grail, your diseases would go away. Too bad the Grail disappeared.
Gather around, everyone. I have an amazing story to tell you all.
Quiet down, everyone. What's the story, Galahad?
Well, I've seen a vision of the Holy Grail. In this vision, there was a girl who made a belt out of her hair, and attached to this belted hair was the Holy Grail. She kept telling me to spread the news, so here I am telling you about this.
So then what happened? Well, a man of the Round Table named Merlin died, and his chair was empty. It was called Siege Perilous, and it had snakes on it, by the way. Before Merlin died, though, he warned that anyone who sat in his chair would be lost. Galahad said that he wanted to lose himself to save himself. Doesn't make sense. Yeah, I don't understand it either. But on one hot summer night, Galahad sat in Merlin's chair. All the men of the Round Table heard a blast and lots of thunder. The Grail appeared with a beam of light. It passed by every night.
So you saw the Grail?
No. There was a cloud surrounding the cup so no one could see it, but we were all shocked, that's for sure.
He made a vow to all the knights that since he had actually seen the Grail, he would ride for a year and a day on a quest to find it. Many of the knights, including Galahad, Sir Bors, Lancelot, and Gawain, swore to the vow too.
Did you take the vow as well, King Arthur? Did Arthur take the vow as well? He did not, for he was in the castle at the time that the vows were made. Well then, where was he? He was down in the town. A lady came to the castle crying for help. Her clothes were all torn up and she looked very distressed. The king believed her pleas for help and went with her to see what happened. But when they arrived upon the scene, a storm had begun and the king was afraid that the castle would catch fire.
They then began to discuss the castle, and they made some very good points about it. You see, the castle, which was made by Merlin for Arthur, sat on top of a hill, and everything in the town seemed to climb the hill to the Great Hall. In this Great Hall sat 4 sculptures. The first was of beasts destroying men, and the second one was of men destroying beasts. The third displayed warriors, and the fourth displayed angel-like men. Over each of the sculptures there stood a statue of King Arthur. In the statue he had wings of gold that pointed north while he was facing east. Being that this statue was all the way on top of the hill, everyone, even in the farthest fields, could see Arthur and his golden wings. The hall of this was taller than all halls everywhere, and had 12 windows, each of which represent a battle that Arthur had been in. Oh no! What have my men done?
What's wrong, guys? The Holy Grail appeared to us. Unfortunately, it was covered in mist, so we vowed to go on a quest to find it.
Why would you do that? I would have never done that.
You weren't here, sir. You don't understand how amazing the Holy Grail is because you weren't here.
But you didn't actually see the Grail.
No, sir. I only saw the light and heard the noise.
Did you see the Grail, Lancelot? No, I only heard a sound and saw light.
Arthur continued to ask this question to all of the knights, and all of them said they hadn't, but they still swore to the vow anyway.
You are all foolish men.
You swore to the vow in vain. You're just going to follow a cloud?
Sir,
Yes, Galahad.
I actually seen the Holy Grail without the clouds surrounding it. I heard a voice telling me to follow it.
It's still a bad idea. The quest will change you. And even though you think you're perfect, it will show you that you're not. Lancelot, although you're very good in battle, you still sin, which you won't be able to see the Grail.
I will do it anyway, sir.
I know you will. I know all of you will. Instead of correcting the wrongs in society, you're all chasing after something that you're never going to find. If you all insist on going, you have to agree to something. What is it, sir? Well, I want to have a tournament the day before you all leave.
Of course, my king.
The next day, the knights all had a tournament. The knights who had seen the Grail were better because they had more energy and inspiration from the Grail. Everyone was cheering for Galahad and Percival. Galahad, Percival! The day after, the knights who vowed to the quest left. Something wasn't right in Camelot. Arthur was afraid that the knights wouldn't return to his round table.
Our sins have caused all of this distress in Camelot.
Yeah, that's true.
But the three queens will fix it. They fix everything in Camelot.
Despite all of the doubt Percival's people felt towards the Holy Grail, Percival excitingly pursued this quest, because he felt that his skills and strengths were far more superior than the other knights. How could he not be confident? I mean, he defeated so many other knights in the final tournament.
Maybe King Arthur was right. This quest is depressing and hopeless. I'm so alone and I don't have a drop of water to drink. I'm such a fool for going on this quest. I'm going to die of thirst. Hey, this looks like a good place to stop and rest. Just take a break. Try to get some food to eat and some drink to drink.
Percival's luck continued whenever he came upon the sweetest looking woman he had ever laid his eyes on. She was spinning around in front of a house.
Hello, you sure look exhausted. Would you like to come rest in my house for a while?
Oh no.
What just happened? The lady, she was just here in her house and now it's gone. Am I hallucinating?
Yes. Percival continues to walk on and notices a plowman and a milkmaid in a sunny field.
Oh my, do you see that scary man shining so bright to find someone?
Percival continues on his journey. He found that a city was built on the peak of a large hill. He decided to climb on top of the hill. He was greeted by a large crowd.
Welcome, mighty hero man!
Percival persisted on reaching the top of the hill.
Why? No one is here. This place is destroyed and ancient. Excuse me. Do you know who that person was that greeted me?
The problem was the old man couldn't speak. Whenever he began to answer Percival's question, he turned to dust.
Ugh! This keeps happening. Of course, once I find the Holy Grail, it's going to destroy on me. What am I going to do? I should go to a chapel and share my story.
Percival does in fact find a chapel and tells the story to the holy man there. Enter holy man.
Percival, you will not achieve the Grail. You're not pure. Galahad, on the other hand, he can't achieve the Grail.
These three men held a mass where Galahad claimed to have seen the Holy Grail a second time.
The Grail, I've seen it again. This time it was burning. It's been with me since I left Camelot, and it's helped me break up pagans and their evil ways. For I know.
What do you know?
What do you know, Galahad? Wow. Now the Grail is gone forever.
Somehow, not even known by Percival himself, but he ended up back at the castle by dawn. He then took his horse and returned to the castle. It must be in one of these. Something as important as the Grail, and it is in none of these books. Maybe someone in the town could help me out. See, I've given up because of a girl. I'm not giving up because of a girl. I'm just more dedicated to her than the Grail. You can't have both the girl and the girl. You either have to choose the quest or the girl. This just sucks. It's not fair that I have to choose either the girl or the quest. I should be able to have both. I guess I choose the girl. Dear Percival was a fool for choosing the girl and soon found out that this was a mistake as he sees the Grail in all of its beauty, more beautiful than any girl in the land, and then he changes his opinion. He decides to give up the girl for the Grail. I've changed my mind. I'm only focused on the Grail. I'm really glad to see you've come to your senses. What can you tell me about the people on the quest? Well, I can tell you that everyone talks about Lancelot and how he lets nothing get in the way of this Grail quest.
After seeing the effects of the Holy Grail on Lancelot, Sir Bors continued to ride along to a very barren area where people who once belonged to Camelot resided. There were wise old men who knew of magic like Merlin. These people had referred to the quest as a mocking fire, similar to what Arthur would say.
What do you know about the Holy Grail?
Yeah, what do you know?
I don't know anything about it.
He's lying.
Take him away!
Many hours passed as Sir Bors lay awake in his cell. Suddenly he heard a heavenly sound.
A stone has slipped. I've seen 7 stars from Arthur's round table. This must mean I'm okay.
Hey, come here. I'm letting you go.
Thank you.
That's the story of Sir Bors.
I always remembered Bors as a sad man. He was always very honest, and his eyes were always gleaming with warmth. He always had a smile, even if he wasn't happy. Oh, how I miss Bors. Percival, may I ask you a question?
Of course.
When you returned to Camelot, were all the knights there? Or was Arthur's prophecy of the Holy Grail being doomed true? Also, the knights that returned, what did they say? What did Arthur say?
Monk, that's more than one question. Wise words that came from Arthur and Lancelot were never forgotten. In any case, after returning to Camelot, there were few horses stumbling on the destroyed land.
Arthur was still king of Camelot, and there were still knights there, many of which were emotionally ruined, aged, or worn out due to the Grail quest. As Percival arrives to Camelot, Arthur says something destroyed the land.
Percival, were you able to see the Holy Grail that Joseph brought from Glastonbury?
No, sir, I haven't.
Gawain, have you seen the Holy Grail?
No, sir, I was unable to complete my quest.
You've become quite the ladies' man, Gawain.
I have?
Enough of that. I'm sure Sir Bors has seen the Holy Grail. Where is he?
I'm here, sir.
Have you completed the Grail quest?
You see...
Oh, never mind. I'm sure there's still one person who has seen the Holy Grail. Lancelot? Have you seen the Holy Grail? I'm not happy with what I did. I'm not proud of the sin I committed. I thought it'd be easier for me to achieve the quest, but I guess I was wrong. Excuse me.
I'll go see what's the matter with him. Lancelot, why are you so upset?
I could have achieved the Grail. Unfortunately, my affair with Guinevere got in the way. A poisonous flower, that affair is. Looks beautiful, but it was really deadly. I talked to the holy man. He cried out my sin. He said that the Grail quest was pointless and done in vain.
Because of the affair?
Yes, because of the affair. I just told you that.
Right, sorry.
Oh, don't take it personally. I'm just so frustrated with myself. My physical strength is suffering as a result of my failure. I'm getting beaten in all of my jousts and battles to people I would normally never lose to. I just need to leave. I need time to myself. I need to figure things out.
Lancelot takes off to a coastline where he hears a blast louder than the roar of water. The sand began blowing and the sky darkened. A boat appeared off the coast and Lancelot decided to board it. He stayed on the ship for 7 days. After 7 days of being in the boat, Lancelot's boat hit land and shook the land. Lancelot reached the kingdom of Carbonek, constructed of rock. At the castle, the large waves were crashing against the windows of the castle. Whenever Lancelot reached the entrance of the castle, 2 lions were guarding the castle. Each of these lions placed a paw upon Lancelot's shoulder and looked at him as if they were going to devour him. His sword was of no use to him, considering the fact that it had been flung from his control. From somewhere above, Lancelot heard a voice in the air saying that if Lancelot had any doubt, the lions would devour him. In essence, Lancelot had to completely lose himself in order to complete the quest. Lancelot proceeded inside the castle and saw no sign of previous life in the castle. There were no shields on the wall, and there were no furniture around. The only thing Lancelot saw was the moon shining through the window over the sea. Despite all of the silence, Lancelot could hear a sweet singing voice from the tower of the castle. Lancelot climbed what seemed 1,000 steps to get to the sweet sound, and when he arrived at the glowing door from which he had heard the sweet sounds of the Grail, it turned out he was deceived. He went to reach for the door handle, and it was very hot. Lancelot thought he saw the Grail, but it was covered by a thin veil. He was so close to the Grail, but never quite got there due to his sins. That was when he knew that the quest was not for him.
Will you please be quiet? Let's speak to Lancelot.
Has Gawain ever failed a quest that you sent him on? I realize now that you've given us the hardest quest of all by making us find the Holy Grail.
Gawain was deaf, you see, so he could not see the Holy Grail at all. Sir Bors, Lancelot, and Percival were the only ones to achieve the Grail quest. You see, the Grail quest changed people. Even though they were able to see it, when they came back, they were never able to see the kingdom or anything else as they did before.
I feel like it did go down the shirt, but not completely sure.
Oh, I've got the blood pumping. There once lived a pure knight of King Arthur named Percival. After years of serving the king, he turned to a holy life by becoming a monk. He did this by traveling far away from Camelot to a convent. Unfortunately, there once lived a